Welcome back, everybody who's been tuning in to our live stream going on here at Robotics Alley. The event has filled in quite a bit since we last spoke to you, and what you're missing directly behind you viewing is the bar. So that's where we're going next. But we have some great interviews that we are going to close off today with, starting with Cheryl Moeller, who I am joined by now from High Tech Kids. One of the other things you can't really appreciate in the room is that we have been joined by a ton of students showing off robotics projects and innovations. And we'd love to just start by learning about High Tech Kids to start.
Sure. So High Tech Kids has been around for about 20 years. We were formed by an engineer who wanted to bring robotics programs to kids. And so our first program was First Lego League, and we've grown from 12 teams in 1999 to 633 teams that we supported last year. We are the largest partner in the United States for First Lego League. So we have more teams here in Minnesota than anywhere else, more than Silicon Valley, more than Washington, Oregon, and some of our technology competitors. About 4 years ago, we took on another program called First Tech Challenge, which is for 7th through 12th graders, and some of those robots are here today, and the kids are showing that program. And then 3 years ago, we took on a program called First Lego League Junior for kindergartners through 3rd grade, and they start learning the very basics of simple machines and how to do some research. So we do have a STEM pathway of programs K-12 that we offer to students.
Fantastic. So I love hearing about a pathway. Part of what we've been doing here today with the Virtual Policy Forum is we had a legislator panel earlier today that was moderated by Margaret Anderson Kelleher from the Minnesota High Tech Association. And we had some senators and some representatives here. And one of the things that we heard at the panel was both from their remarks as well as from the audience was talking about education and pathways to understanding what careers are available and how to train or learn about your interest in those areas. Can you talk about how you really see that being a pathway that you're helping students get themselves on?
Sure. So I think the great thing about robotics leagues is that it's a real-world engineering environment. There's a game, but they have to build a robot to actually accomplish the game. So they're kind of thrust into this challenge, and there's a deadline, just like there is in the engineering world, that you have to have a product for your customers. And so they learn the whole team building, they learn how to work together, and they have to learn some technical skills to actually accomplish to make that robot do something and move. What we're seeing as our kids progress from one program to another, they really get interested in the problem-solving part of STEM and how you can make engineering kind of exciting. And I think once you get that sense of accomplishment, when you go off to college, you're more likely actually to finish in a STEM discipline if you've had that experience of actually doing real engineering as a high school student. I think in the beginning, they don't really realize that they're learning. It's a little bit of a maybe a bait and switch a little bit. We get them in with Legos, and by the time they leave, they're hopefully programming in Java and have some programming skills and some mechanical design skills. So we do have some longitudinal data that indicates that students that have participated in our program are more likely to actually finish their degree than kids that are interested in STEM that go off to do STEM careers. So, just being interested in STEM is one thing, but actually seeing it through is another, your college degree.
So I have a 3.5-year-old. I am already stepping on tiny Legos in my household. So that excitement starts early. Do you have recommendations for how parents or educators or anyone that has a child in their life, aside from programs like these, what are other ways or places that I should be looking for resources or places to go or programs to get little ones into?
Sure. I'll give a shout out to some of our partners here in Minnesota. The Works Museum is a wonderful place for little kids if you haven't been there. They have all kinds of hands-on activities for them to explore. And for little kids, I think they do exploration without even thinking they're exploring. They're not afraid to try things and build things and towers and things. And the Works is a great a place to kind of explore that. The Children's Museum also has a big STEM focus, so if you haven't been there, that's another great place. The Bakke Museum also is another place to kind of check out some stuff. They have great camps and workshops. And the fourth one I'll mention is Leonardo's Basement. I don't know if they have anything for 3-year-olds yet, but they do have a lot of stuff for grade school kids, and they can learn how to weld and kind of make their own vision. And they also teach robotics classes there, as well as all the other 3 that I mentioned.
Okay, great. So we have been very active on Twitter today, as has your team. So I wanted to follow up in person because there was a little retweeting going on. And again, as we were talking about some of these pathways and fostering STEM education and really supporting kids from all backgrounds and socioeconomic areas, there was mention of scholarships for rookie robotics teams.
Sure. High Tech Kids has had scholarships for many, many years, and our targeted demographics is all girls teams, kids that actually live in rural or urban areas, and kids of color or kids of poverty. And we haven't had to turn a team down that would like a grant to get started. The biggest hurdle for a team starting is the robot cost. Robots aren't free, so that would actually purchase the robot, and then the robots are actually able to reuse the following year. So it's a kind of a starter thing. We hope that once they get hooked, they can also kind of find their own funding to make it sustainable, and most of those teams all come back. So we do have scholarship, and then FIRST, which is the parent nonprofit, also does give scholarships, and there's Minneapolis Public Schools won a large STEM equity grant last year to kind of bring First Tech Challenge to a lot of their North Minneapolis schools. So there's lots of good things happening here in the Twin Cities. Minneapolis Public Schools and St. Paul Public Schools is one of our largest partners, and between the two of them, we probably have over 160 teams of our 630. So we've been pretty successful at reaching our low-income kids, but there are communities that we don't have teams, and I'd love to talk to people that would be interested in starting teams.
Sure. And so I heard a fun stat that I'm sure you already know, that we have more robotics teams in the state of Minnesota than hockey teams?
Yeah, and I believe it's varsity hockey is the stat.
Just a caveat.
Between the four FIRST programs, there's over 1,100. So that's a lot of robotics teams, especially when you multiply that by 2 coaches. There's a lot of folks in Minnesota that volunteer their time by mentoring teams or coaching teams, which we're very deeply grateful for.
I love that. So that's a great opportunity to get involved if you are looking for a way to give back in that space.
And another spot that we are always looking for is we host our tournaments, so we're always looking for judges and folks that are interested in robotics. This would be a perfect place for us to maybe perhaps find a judge or a referee. The events are fun. They run like sporting events. They're under the lights, they're with loud music, so we try to make it fun. And the events are all day, but our volunteers, many of them have been with us from the very beginning, but since we keep growing, we haven't been able to clone them into robots yet, so we need more new people to kind of join us.
Okay, fair enough. So before I let you go, since we are running the virtual policy forum today, we have been asking one policy question. I promise it's not hard.
Okay.
But we've been asking everybody, what would a policy wish list look like for you if you were thinking about ways in which you think that policy or funding or other avenues that could really encourage the kind of work that organizations like High Tech Kids are trying to put forward?
Sure. We are a very small nonprofit, so we are 5 folks, 2 full-time, 3 part-time. So if we were to expand and serve more teams, we would probably need some infrastructure to actually reach northern Minnesota and the western Minnesota where we don't have many teams. So if I had to make a little magic wand, some infrastructure money so we can expand and serve more kids would be great. Right now we've been very happy to grow on a grassroots level, but if we'd like to have more kids impacted, it would probably take some more funding.
Okay, that's the popular answer.
Everybody wants money, right?
That's right. Well, Cheryl, thank you. It was a real pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for being here today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Take care.